Hello and welcome to Live Action Remorse, the worst podcast in the world. Today we are covering Pete's Dragon. I am Roxana.
And I am Nikki.
It's been a little bit. The past couple of weeks have been rather eventful in ways that are irrelevant to the podcast, but some of them are. One of them unfortunately, it pertains to one of the stars of the remake that we're covering today, Robert Redford, who was one of the great stars of American 1970s cinema, passed away in the interim between episodes. And, we'll talk about his performance later in the episode, but, it's rather sad. And, he had a long life, but yeah, I just wanted to note that before we moved into the actual.
I did want to say that, at least before we got to the remake. Rest in peace. One of the greatest popular American actors, in my opinion.
Yes.
Also a great director.
Absolutely.
A great lover of film through the Sundance Film Festival. In the past few days, Sundance. I've seen so many, filmmakers I love come out and give their love to him, saying that he gave them their start at Sundance. Seemed to be an all-around good person. But, yeah, it's very sad. Rest in peace.
Yes, pretty solid loss.
It's a great
in the
loss.
World of American cinema. Yeah, I can't remember. Did we talk about? I can't remember if we brought up Aristocats last episode.
I don't think
we brought up the cancellation.
The news had happened last episode. I don't think so.
Right. Okay. So yes, Questlove's adaptation, his remake of Aristocats, has been it's been indefinitely canceled. I assume permanently canceled. It sounded indefinite, like it sounded like they meant indefinite, but it sounds like they're not doing that. They're not going forward with that. The landscape is shifting, and Disney are planting their feet once again firmly on ground that is fundamentally unstable, because that's how they roll. It's always been how they roll, and that's never going to change. The way Disney moves is forcing the culture to change around them rather than them adapting to the culture that is taking place around them. And as they've planted their feet on this particular ground, they're realizing it's not quite as fertile as they thought it was. So Aristocats is pretty dead right now. These things are dying as we're going through the podcast. They may very well be totally dead by the time we finish the podcast. Who knows what could happen?
Guys, if we rally enough, we can save this movie. I know we were all so excited for it. We were all so excited for Questlove's Aristocats. If we rally together, we can get #save Aristocats trending, and we're gonna save it like the Snyderverse or the Snyder Cut. We didn't save the Snyderverse, but we can redeem ourselves this time and save Aristocats, just like we saved the Snyder Cut.
#save Aristocats. #Questlove's in the house.
The cats will be televised.
Cats will be televised. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, they'll be televised. All right, they're going straight to Disney Plus. Is there anything else we neglected to that we haven't yet covered that's taken place in the interim?
I don't think so. Nothing relevant.
It's been relatively uneventful in that sphere, and other than that, I'm just gonna say that I'm glad we're not a particularly politics centric podcast at the moment, and I'll leave it at that.
We are recording this on September 19th, 2025. It's been a weird month. It's been a bad month. I'll say it. It's been a bad month.
It's been a really horrendous month, and I'll leave it at that, because we have we have a giant green dragon to talk about. And that's not sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that would be sexual innuendo
We
of. But,
we need to start rallying for people to lose their jobs if they mock the cancellation of Questlove's Aristocats. That's all I'll
oh
say.
my god, so real. So real. Jimmy Kimmel, how could you
How
say
could
that
Jimmy
about
Kimmel say that Aristocats was gonna be
Aristocats?
boring?
How could the co-host of The Man Show, co-hosted by Adam Carolla, say that about
It's like
Aristocats?
he's desecrating the legacy of the Man Show. It's disgusting.
Right? It's disgusting. Profoundly grotesque. But anyways, onto Pete's Dragon.
Yeah, let's start with the
Is there anything you wanted to start?
original Pete's Dragon,
Mhm.
which I can't even remember.
Pete's
It's
Dragon.
70s, right?
1977,
1977.
directed by Don Chaffee. Don Chaffee, director of Jason and the Argonauts.
Yes. You know, one of the great
Which is crazy.
special effects movies of all time. And so I assume that's why he was given this, because it's a special effects movie. I'm curious how many people even know that there is an original Pete's Dragon. Because I had never heard of it before the remake.
I had never heard of it prior to the remake existing. Which is, I'm pretty sure that's a first for this particular trend.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that there's really any other examples of that here, because usually, we've gone on and on about brand refreshment, but there's no brand to refresh here. It's Pete's Dragon. There's a scant few people who had heard of this movie, and it probably spent more time inside the Disney vault than outside the Disney vault by the time the remake was greenlit.
Yeah.
So
I believe the original was
there's something
successful.
surprising
I
there.
think it made money. So like
that I don't understand, but we'll get into
so like people who were like kids when it came out, they would probably know about it. But like kids of the generation,
including
when the remake came out,
David Lowery, apparently.
I can't see any of them being aware of it, or even their parents. If their parents were born after the 70s, if they were like 80s kids, millennials.
My mom was born in born in 68, and I don't know if she'd heard of the original Pete's Dragon.
Damn.
I know she's only seen the remake, and she's very fond of it, I will note. We're talking about a movie that is not particularly known or well liked, and somehow it got a remake.
Yeah.
I will say in advance that if you're looking for any particular information on the development of the remake, we don't really have it.
Yeah, that
it's not really out there. It's not really extant.
Notable about it. It's just they announced there was going to be a remake from David Lowery, and then there was a remake.
But yeah, let's start with the 1977 film. Because we're probably going to have more to generally say about the original, and not necessarily in the kindest way.
This is a
all right.
Live action animation hybrid, which there weren't a lot of those in 1977. Really, the most notable before this was Mary Poppins, which was also Disney.
Yes. And even then, it was not so predicated on like a consistent single animated character, but rather designated animated sequences.
Yes.
There's no one. It's not like a Roger Rabbit situation.
No, it is not. And we're getting ahead of ourselves again, but Pete's Dragon is also not a fucking Roger Rabbit situation. Oh my god. But
oh boy.
Yeah, we watched this. I had no real expectations going in.
Me neither.
The animation was headed by Don Bluth. That's a cute little thing. So it's good. It's well animated, even if it doesn't always like interact with the world in an amazing way. But it is well animated.
It's well characterized and expressed, all the pieces that you'd want ideally for an animated character are here. They don't coalesce for reasons we'll get into.
Yeah, and that's most of what the good things I have to say about the movie are.
Yeah. Well, this one I didn't I will note I didn't really take notes cuz this movie's kind of an energy vampire. So, but at the same time, probably less people than usual have seen the movie that we're covering today, like the original movie, and probably the remake to an extent. So we should probably get into what actually happens in the movie.
Yes. Pete is an orphan. I don't remember how his parents died.
I don't know if they ever
And
go into it. I don't remember that anyways, but I
he
don't remember a lot
has
of the movie already.
he has a friend who is a dragon who can turn invisible.
His name is Elliot.
And yeah, his name is Elliot. He's named after Elliot Gould. But they don't say that in the movie. That's just a
That's
production.
a
That's some
production thing.
trivia for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And he gets adopted by I think they say like he's been adopted many times, but he gets adopted by this family who is abusive, and he runs
Not
away with
just
his.
adopted, bought. He's
Oh yeah,
bought.
they he's
They
bought.
have a bill of rights. They run around with the bill of rights like, yeah, we own this child. Like, that's legal here? For you to do that? Is that okay? For you to say that?
Anyways, he
I don't.
is owned
Mhm.
by this abusive family, and
Absolutely heinous, feral, mad people.
he runs away from them with Pete, and he goes
Mm-hmm.
to this little small coastal town in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, he runs away with Elliot. But Elliot's the dragon, Pete's the boy. I keep mixing them up. He goes away with Elliot to this small Maine coastal town, and Elliot causes a ruckus. Ooh, and everyone's
Ooh.
spooked out by Pete, and he just keeps living as a hobo for a little bit. Then this lighthouse keeper takes him in.
Her dad is rather
Guys, so much happens in this
unstable.
movie, but nothing happens in this movie. There's a evil con
Evil
man
snake oil
guy,
salesman. Yeah.
even evil snake oil salesman who wants to scam the town, and he finds out about the dragon, and he wants to cut up the dragon and eat the dragon, and they don't believe that the dragon is real, but they find out the dragon is real, and Pete has to re-enter society because he can't be a hobo kid. And it's a musical also,
Oh boy, is it a musical. It's
and
maybe too much of a musical.
I feel the years of my life healing off of me as I'm trying to synopsize this. I don't know what else you guys want me to fucking say. I will say this: if you've seen the remake, you have not seen the original. It's basically an entirely different movie. That is not
Yeah,
me recommending you go watch it.
here's the thing about it. I'm gonna just make it immediately clear. Between this film and its remake, it really feels like take what you need and get rid of the rest. Here are the parts that are kept. There's an orphaned boy named Elliot. I mean, no, fuck. Elliot. The movie's only called Pete's Dragon. There's an orphaned boy named Pete. He has a green dragon named Elliot. He can turn invisible. That's really it. That's mostly it anyways. There's one or two plot elements that seem inspired by the original going forward, but again, getting ahead of myself. Not a lot really happens. To synopsize it, there's a snake oil salesman, Doc Terminus. I assume that was just meant to mean Dr. Menace. I don't know.
He's named Doc Terminus because you drink his snake oil and it gives you a terminal disease.
Real. Yeah, not a lot happens. He goes to live with the lighthouse keepers. The lighthouse keeper and her dad, who's played by Mickey Rooney. And most of his performance is just kind of yelling, which, I guess that's not that different from other roles that he had in his later years. This includes his most racist role, possibly one of the most racist roles ever.
Not his only racist role,
Not his
but
only
one of the
racist role.
more racist ones.
One of the more
Most of his
racist
most
Mickey Rooney
racist roles were when he was a kid.
True. Mickey Rooney gets drunk, ends up spilling the beans about Elliot to Doc Terminus's assistant. He tells him while he has this guy in, like, this is one of the notable parts of the movie because it comes out of nowhere and distresses me deeply. He's got this guy rigged up in a fucking god-awful, jury-rigged dentist seat that's holding his mouth open, utilizing some kind of weight. And he gets pulled away from that and tells the guy in the chair, if you let that go, it will shatter your jaw entirely. And I'm like, why is there a saw trap in the middle of this family film? There's no reason for this. This is awful. It's one of the few notable bits, other than Jim Dale's performance as Doc Terminus, which is pretty good, and we'll get into that. Pete's adoptive, quote, family comes back, and they're trying to find Pete. I don't know, some fucking stuff happens. They end up, Doc Terminus ends up capturing Elliot, and Elliot ends up burning the fucking bill of sale to Elliot's, to Pete's, oh my god, I keep getting them confused, to his own to the ownership of him. Pete goes off to live with the lighthouse keepers, and Elliot fucking bails. He leaves because some other kid needs him or something.
Yeah.
And it's a really sparse plot, and that's fine, like, on paper. Like, that's fine for a movie. We're talking about Disney movies here. It's okay for the plot to be sparse. A lot of these were based on fairy tales and storybooks. We should probably get into the problems of the movie, shouldn't we?
This movie is 2 hours long, and you can feel it. Oh my god. Like, you talked about the fairy tale Disney movies, and you know how that's fine, but like the fairy tale movies we've watched before this, like the animated catalog, they're all like 70 minutes, and that's fine. I don't watch, Alice in Wonderland or Cinderella or Jungle Book and say, that was too short, or that was too long. Okay, well, Cinderella was kind of too long, but that's besides the point. This is so fucking long. It's 2 hours long. Every scene drags and drags and drags. They don't know when to end a scene. It just keeps going and going. All the songs are really long. Like, you'd think the songs would be short, but no, the songs are really long. And they aren't good songs. You don't want to listen to them for like 5 minutes straight.
The songs are just too long. This is the worst. This might be the worst movie that we've watched for the podcast. And it's funny that so far it's not one of the remakes. It's one of the originals.
I think this is the worst movie we've seen for the podcast. Jungle Book 2 is pretty bad.
But it's short.
The last one, Alice Through the Looking Glass, was bad, but it's like, all the costumes were nice, and Mia Wasikowski serves cunt, and all that.
Yeah.
But like, this was, I think this is the worst one so far. I don't think it'll be the worst one in the very end. I think it'll be next episode, but let's get ahead of ourselves. Ooh, nightmare.
It's about to get ready, because this is the last reprieve we're gonna have for a while, if at all. I can't remember anymore.
There's Christopher Robin. That's the reprieve. and there's
That's the
Cruella,
reprieve.
which is a reprieve.
Cruella. That's a real
But
reprieve because that's a real ass movie. But yeah,
yeah, after this movie, I wanted a reprieve. This is. I had notes on this movie. I didn't have a ton, but then they got deleted. But I remember, if I can remember what my notes are. First of all, movie, it feels 10 hours long.
it
Um,
feels it's one of the longest feeling movies I've seen. In like, for example, like I watched, and not just to bring up Redford again. I rewatched 12 Angry Men, not 12 Angry Men, All the President's Men with with some friends who hadn't seen it, and the thing about that movie is like it's like 2 hours 12 minutes, I think, but that really sneaks up on me every time when the movie gets to the end, because it feels so like every scene flows into one another so thoughtfully. There's this really beautiful causal structure to all of it. And something like this, scenes drag, like they start for no reason, they end for no reason, and everything in between is so tiresome. It's just
I
the real doldrums of cinema here.
I don't have
It's
a
hard just
problem
thinking
with
about
long
it.
movies. I
No,
just
me
want to like
neither.
because I know some people just see long movies and they're immediately like turned off, right?
No, yeah,
That isn't me.
me neither.
I've done my homework. I watched the Ben Hurs and Gone with the Wind and Brighter Summer Day. I've seen fucking the Sergei Bondarchuk War and Peace and Abel
Powerful.
Gaunt's La Rue, and both of those are
Yeah,
7 hours long. The
yeah,
former one
yeah.
I did all in one sitting, 7 hours straight.
You're
And
crazy.
those
I can't
movies
even do
feel
that.
shorter than Pete's Dragon.
It's bad. Like one of my favorite movies is The Irishman. People complain about the length of that one for a long time, like for the longest time, like since it came out, and I'm like, fucking amateur skill issue.
I thought that
So
was too
like,
long when I first watched it, but now when I
mhm.
rewatched it, I don't have that problem at all. I think I just needed to grow up a bit.
Right, right. I was just, but yeah, we have no issue with long movies here. It is genuinely, like, I think one of the most accurate truisms that Roger Ebert ever said was no good movie is too long and no bad movie is too short.
Yeah.
Like it's like, yeah, because if it's good, it'll be, at least it'll approximate the correct length for its intentions. That's just one of those things that's always going to be fucking true. If a really great movie is not going to drag like this. This one's exhausting. This is one of the most exhausting fucking movies I've watched in a long time.
The
Oh my
fucking
god.
the
Hmm.
remake is like 20 minutes shorter than this and so
Yes,
much
yes.
more happens in it.
So
So
much more
much more happens
happens.
in it.
So much more happens. It moves very smoothly, at least relatively, especially. It's a much stronger edit. It just feels like there was a lot of thought placed into cause and effect with the remake that it just isn't here with this movie, because nothing fucking happens in it. Nothing happens. Nothing
The things
happens.
that do happen aren't interesting. There's one good performance. I'll say the villain,
Yeah, Jim
the
Dale,
snake oil salesman, he's
Doc
having a lot of
Terminus.
fun. He's hamming it
Yes.
up. He knows the tone to go for.
Which is funny
Rest
because
of
this
the
movie barely has
performances
one.
suck. Um, the kid is unlikable, which I'm not blaming on the actor. I'm blaming on the writing. To be clear, the kid is
Yeah,
very
like
fucking unlikable.
he's not
Um,
he's not a well written character. Like, again, like I know we're kind of moving somewhat non-linearly a little bit, like back and forth, but like the remake has some pretty strong characterization for Pete, relatively, especially. So, like, when you compare that to this, he's just kind of not much of anything at best. Kind of a shitter at worst. And that's not, like, part of the movie. It's not something that he really has to contend with. He doesn't have to contend with the consequence of being a shitter. He's just kind of a shitter, and the movie kind of ignores this and doesn't do anything with it. It's not really fun to watch.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it. There's a bit there's one bit that impressed me performance-wise. You know, it's the first scene with Doc Terminus where he shows up at the town, but he doesn't know its name. It's called Passamaquoddy. And no, I didn't remember that. I had to look it up. And he basically just goes through like fucking 20 permutations of Passamaquoddy, which is a testament to the fact that it's simply too long. The number is too long. It would have been funnier if it had some editorial restraint. He goes through every permutation of that name that is wrong. You know, it's like, damn, you know, he really memorized all that. He's a good performance, and I learned that he's still alive, which really impressed me. He's in his 90s.
Damn.
I also learned that Passamaquoddy Bay is a real place. I didn't know that. I assumed they made it up, but nope. It is a real place in, like, between Maine and the Canadian province of New Brunswick.
Damn.
Most of the bay lies within Canada, so I guess most of this movie is technically in Canada.
I'm not gonna claim it. I'm Canadian. She's American. I don't know if we've ever mentioned that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I'm not gonna claim it.
we neither of us claim this space.
We're surrendering it to the French.
Yeah. I think Passamaquoddy may be just a French name.
It sounds indigenous.
Yeah. It's just so fucking long. One of my major issues with the movie that doesn't really help things is Elliot, the dragon. Now, this isn't on Don Bluth. I wouldn't put it on Don Bluth. And when you learn about Don Bluth and why he quit working at Disney, you realize he was probably not particularly happy to be working on this movie.
No.
You know, that character, because that's the thing, right? When we're talking about creatures and monsters, you know, like, I'm just a firm believer forever that, you know, a monster or a creature, you know, that's still a character. You know, like how, like, I think about something that someone said about how, like, a fight scene is still a scene. You know, like, it still has to have a structure the way a scene does. You know, it's not exonerated of that because it's a fight scene. And I also feel similarly about, like, monsters and creature characters. They're still characters. I think they should still serve the function that a character does. Elliot barely does that. I don't like him. I do not like the voice characterization. He doesn't speak any language. He just kind of murmurs a lot. You know, it's kind of, honestly, it kind of got on my nerves. No, it got on my nerves a lot. I wasn't happy with it. He's kind of just a character without much of anything to him. He is incredibly flat. He may be more flat than Pete. You know, he doesn't seem to harbor, I don't know, relationships with characters the way you want. Like, there's something about the way in which his and Pete's relationship is characterized that feels deeply static. And when you're making a movie like this, which, again, like, it's a long movie, and I would expect the movie to make more room to grant further dimension to the relationship between Pete and Elliot. I'm not asking for too much. It's called Pete's Dragon. You know, I don't think I'm asking for so much. There's something, like, it just feels very flat, and, you know, the character himself feels very saccharine and without, like, he's so anodyne and without any kind of interiority or dimensionality. He's just kind of a walking smile to a degree, and sometimes a frown when he's, you know, made sad by the fact that Pete's kind of an asshole to him. But there's no real push and pull in their relationship. It really feels like the nature of Disney as a thing really, really hamstrings the capacity for them to actually have a relationship that has any kind of dimensionality or depth or tension in any way, because it's got to be all smiles. It's 1977. Walt's been dead a while. And, it's very much that thing of, well, we gotta do, I guess, things that we feel like you would do. They tried and they failed, in my opinion.
A little side note here, like you mentioned, this came out in 1977. If you watched this blind and did not know the year it came out, you would not guess 1977. This is like a 50s, 60s kids
This
movie.
Is like 60,
it is so behind the times.
62 at best. This is, I think I've gotten into this before, but the thing is, we've mostly been watching animated movies adapted into live action. We haven't been watching live action movies remade into live action again. So we haven't really gotten into the fact that, like I said, Disney is like, they kind of try to force the culture to be what they want it to be and not so much, adapting to the times. And the thing about that is that a lot, when you look at their live action output, the stuff no one remembers, because no one gives a fuck about most of the old live action Disney movies. Like, it's like, I want you to picture this. Mary Poppins, how that movie looks the way it does, but it came out in like the early 60s, so no one minds. But the problem is, imagine that every live action movie that your studio makes just looks like that well into the 1970s.
Yeah.
Gordon Willis
It took them a long time to catch up.
Gordon Willis has come and helped reshape the way in which we design lighting in this fucking country and ultimately cinema in general. And they're still making movies that look like this. Movies that, as a friend of mine would put it, look like they were shot in a Costco. It's real bad. It's genuinely like I watched a movie called, I think it was called Candlewick or something like that. I can't remember. It had Jodie Foster. That movie came out also in 1977. That was a year after Taxi Driver came out. Imagine being Jodie Foster. You're in Taxi Driver, with Taxi Driver looking like that. Shot by Michael Chapman. It is fully and firmly embracing the location work and the seedy atmosphere of 1970s New York. And then you go over to shoot a movie for Disney, and everything's on a soundstage, and everything is as flatly lit as humanly possible, and the movie looks 20 years older than it actually is. To the point that I kind of find it embarrassing. Because it's not just that it looks old. It's not just that it looks stagey. I have no problem with these things. I love these things really often. The problem, as always, is just a lack of aesthetic decision making. It's that an idea I've posited elsewhere of aesthetic neutrality. Because, when I talk about aesthetic neutrality, what constitutes neutrality is always changing. It's always shifting. It's gonna conform to whatever the aesthetic norms of the time are. The aesthetic norms of the early 60s, which notably was around the time that Walt Disney died, so it really feels like they just got completely frozen in time when Walt Disney died. Like, they didn't know what to do without him, so they just kept making movies to the same aesthetic sheen that they feel like maybe he would have approved of at some point. And it does feel embarrassing to me. Pete's Dragon is one of these products of that neutrality, and it looks older than it is. 1977, Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out the same year Pete's Dragon did. What the fuck? That's ridiculous.
It's not a good movie, guys. It's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie. I'm shocked still by how bad it is. I had no expectations. Neither of us had any expectation for the movie. It's just bad.
There's a subplot in this movie where the lady, the lighthouse. Her husband died at sea, but they never found the body.
You
And
can
then
guess
in
where
the
this is going.
climax, Elliot goes and finds him lost at sea. How long was he supposed to be lost again? Like a year?
Yeah, like a year.
And it's like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
really? They never got to any kind of land in 1 year without the dragon?
And he was like, oh, I lost my memory when I was lost out at sea, and then the dragon came and I bumped my head and I got all my memories back. And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that because I was thinking like, oh, that's like cartoon logic
It's
where you bump your
really
head
cartoon
and get
logic.
amnesia and then bump it again and
It's a full cognitive
gain
reset.
your
Have
memory
you
back.
have
If
you
that
tried?
was played
Mhm.
for laughs, it would be fucking hilarious. I would respect this movie so much, but it's played seriously.
It's played pretty straight. Which, to be clear, like, it's its own kind of funny, but like in a derisive, stupid way. And I don't respect it.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got here. I don't know how they got here. It really, and it's funny, right? Because looking at the Wikipedia, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia. This movie was made on $10 million in however much money that is in 1977, and made almost $40 million. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. I'm like, if you asked me to try and surmise as to the success of this movie, I would assume, well, obviously this is the last dying gasp of a dying studio that is fundamentally and firmly stagnant and not going anywhere whatsoever. But no, they succeeded with this, which is one of the most baffling things possible to me, but I guess that's just the way of it with a lot of popular cinema in general. So what can I say about that? There's not a lot I can say. What else is there to say about the movie?
I'm not sure what else there is to say.
Cuz there's not a lot to
Steer
say.
clear of this one.
Steer clear.
It's not good.
It's really not good. Do not watch. Not even for Don Bluth. Not even for Don Bluth.
No,
you know how bad things are?
That's the other thing I wanted to mention. That's the one other thing I wanted to mention. Elliot is barely in this movie.
He was going to be in it less, you mentioned.
You go see this movie so you can see the fucking dragon. You know? That's why you go see the movie. But he's barely in the fucking movie. And I know, it's hard. Okay? I'm sympathetic to that. Animation on its own, really hard. Animation combined with live action, especially pre-CGI, is really fucking hard.
Yeah.
But if it's so hard, don't make the movie then. If you can't do it, don't do it.
What I want to ask here is just, we're talking about Disney, and the real question becomes, why is this movie not entirely animated? That's my question. Fuck happened here?
I think they thought the dragon would be cool in a live action movie, to have a dragon.
I'm tired just thinking about this fucking movie. You know, I don't like the vast majority of the performances. Red Buttons, who plays Doc Terminus's assistant, he annoys the shit out of me in this movie.
I've seen a lot of Mickey Rooney films. I'm going through the full Judy Garland filmography, and I believe I've seen the last of Mickey Rooney in that filmography. At the beginning, I thought, he's kind of charming. Now I fucking hate that guy. He's so annoying. I want him to blow up. I remember even more annoying as a grown man because he's still doing the same shtick he was doing when he was 15. And it's like, you're not cute anymore. You're not cute.
You
okay?
I remember,
you're balding.
I remember you. I can't even remember what spurred it, but I remember at some point you saw a clip of him and just said, "I want him to get blown up by a cruise missile."
I was watching one of his late collaborations with Judy Garland, and a lot of the characters he plays in those are just horrible, horrible men,
Horrible men.
and the movie does not think they're horrible. They think
It's
he's just
constant. It's
charming.
constant. It's permanent, in fact.
And
I've seen one movie where he played a sympathetic person. One. Which is crazy.
I see so many fucking of those Judy movies where it's like, she's so fucking nice to you. She's an angel, and you treat her like shit,
Yeah.
and we're still supposed to like you. And I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
I like how this just became the Mickey Rooney hate hour for a little bit here because he's never come up on the podcast.
He's never gonna come up again, so I'm getting it all out now.
Wait, are we sure? Are we sure
Rooney.
He never comes up again?
What else? What other Disney thing is he in? Let me just check his filmography. I don't think he's gonna come up again.
I'm a little worried.
Okay, I'm looking at his filmography. It does not look like he's gonna come up again.
Okay.
No, he doesn't.
Well, yeah. We really don't have much more to say about this movie. I think we've kind of stretched it out.
The only other Disney movie he's in is The Fox and the Hound, which they have not remade yet.
I mean, no, the way things are going, it doesn't seem like...
Oh, fuck, he does come up again. I was wrong.
Wait, how's it coming? I knew...
I glanced over it.
I knew something. What was it?
He's in Lady and the Tramp 2, Scamp's Adventure.
Okay, yeah, we're getting a little more...
Straight to DVD sequel
I knew
to Lady
there
and
was
the Tramp,
something...
Which I
didn't...
I forgot partially because I forgot that they even remade Lady and the Tramp and that it was going to be on this podcast.
As Janelle Monáe.
She deserves better. Mickey Rooney does not.
Mickey Rooney doesn't deserve better. Janelle Monáe does. Get Janelle Monáe in some good movies now, Hollywood, for fuck's sake. They're too fucking cool.
Pete's Dragon Free.
You stop now. I like the idea because they never made a Pete's Dragon 2. They made the remake, so they just skipped straight to 3. But yeah, I think we've mostly said all we literally can about this movie because there's nothing there. It's the longest movie ever. Not a lot happens. There's a lot of musical numbers that the movie seems to think are showstoppers. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
I will know.
Want to know what would be a showstopper? A giant animated dragon.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Also, I learned that one of these songs somehow was nominated for Best Original Song at the Academy Awards.
They'd be giving Oscars to anyone.
It was called Candle on the Water. It was. Yeah.
Oh, I remember that song. It was terrible.
For some reason, back when they were doing those Disney Mania albums, they had the actress who played Chelsea on That's So Raven sing that song. For some reason, it was also on Pushing Daisies.
They gotta get
for some reason.
Pete's Dragon and Kingdom Hearts 4 and bring all the cast back.
Anyways, should we move on to the remake?
Yes, we should move on to the remake. I'll cut to the chase here. This might be at least one of the biggest glow-ups between original and remake.
I think it might be the biggest, but I can't recall at the moment because we're moving into the downgrades.
The only other
already.
one that comes to mind immediately is Cronenberg's The Fly.
Oh, you mean?
I thought you were the original at all.
Oh, me neither. I thought you were talking about only Disney.
Oh, in terms of the Disney remakes, this is absolutely the biggest fucking.
This
blow-up.
is the biggest glow up. It's relatively, because relatively, like on its own, the movie's good. Relatively, compared to the original, it's fan-fucking-tastic.
I haven't seen the original 101 Dalmatians, even though I love Cruella, but I don't think it's gonna be like terrible where I say, oh, Cruella's so much better.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, this is unlike the original. This is an actually This is a real movie.
It's a
You
real
know, we
movie.
didn't say that for the last one. Pete's Dragon, that's a fake movie. That's something people need to understand. When we talk about fake movies, they're more common now, but they weren't invented now. You
No, no,
know,
they've been, as long as movies have been around, there have been fake ones. That's just how it works.
honestly, if I can go back on my shit again, Mickey Rooney, classic fake movie superstar. He was in a ton of fake
Absolutely,
movies.
absolutely, absolutely, 100%, 100% agree. This movie is not a
But this,
fake movie. Sometimes it feels like it's gonna veer into fake movie territory at times, but it doesn't quite fall there because it is a good movie. It has actual interests and focus, characterization, and some degree of tension, even if it's slight. Because that's the thing, the movie's pretty slight, and I'm not gonna deny that at all. But I also have a big fondness for it. Again, my mom is a big fan of the David Lowery movie. Um, how this
mhm.
again going back, how this movie happened, I have no fucking clue, and I have to assume that he had some goodwill cashed up from working with A24 a few times. Um, and he managed to pitch a Pete's Dragon remake somehow in the wake of all the.
Had he worked with A24 before this?
Did he do Ghost Story before or after this?
Ghost Stories after this.
Oh, so he hadn't done it yet. I can't remember
This is what he
who.
did to get Ghost Story made. I think he's even like said that was like
Oh,
his one for them, and then Ghost Story was his one for them. I think he said that. I'm not entirely
I
sure.
don't know. I don't know who he did Ain't Them Body Saints with, so I can't remember. But
Yeah, I think he only had two features before this. Ain't Them Buddy Saints was we would do fucking 8 different studios. None of them are A24.
so basically, what I have to assume now is that he is really fucking good at pitching to studios. There's no other way. Because sometimes they will just see a pitch and be like, God damn, he really came in hot, didn't he? And that's what it seems like, because it seems that David Lowery cares about this movie infinitely more than we do about the original Pete's Dragon. Because he does
Yes.
kind of try to take clearly like what mattered to him from that movie and then elaborates on it and makes it a real movie and gives it an actual story and emphasizes the parts of the movie that needed most emphasizing and ditched the rest. In this movie, like, again, they got rid of most of the plot. There's still an orphan boy named Pete, and we see that his parents die. We see that, and
Hmm.
he's found by Elliot the dragon, and Elliot the in this movie is so much better. He's so much better as a design, as a character. His integration into um the environment and with other characters honors the evident intentions of that original movie and then soars beyond them quite firmly on a technical level. I love his facial animation. He's a very well constructed digital creature. I like him. He's one of the biggest points of glow up that the movie has had relative to the original. Which is funny because that movie was literally called Pete's Dragon, and yet it doesn't feel like that dragon is particularly important in the wake of whatever the fuck else is going on in that movie. It's not great.
This is a movie that's actually about Pete's
It's
Dragon.
about Pete's Dragon. It's about the relationship between Pete and Elliot in a way that feels like it should have been obvious, but instead they were too busy fucking around with that original movie. Pretty bad. There are some snags. I'm not a score person, but I'm not that terribly big on the score. I'm not, I feel like the movie is at its best, at its sort of most winsome and tender. And then when it starts shooting for the broader family movie beats that you tend to want and get in these types of movies to please sort of audiences or studios, it kind of feels slightly forced. But compared to the problems of the original, those are much better problems to have than your movie is broken and too long and every song is bad and nothing interesting happens in it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
also, we've talked about them before about changing musicals into non-musicals, and
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. This was such a good choice. Oh my god, leave all the old songs out.
Okay,
They were
but
not needed. They were not good.
I found out that
Get rid of them.
somewhere in the movie, I don't even remember where it is, but somewhere in the movie, Candle on the Water is snuck in there somewhere. But I guess it's so subtle that I didn't even notice it. So that's fine. Either that
You
or
could do it as an Easter egg,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have a problem with that, but we
Yeah.
don't need Robert Redford singing "Candle on the
We
Water."
don't need that, no. The glow, that's another glow up is Robert Redford's character in
Oh my
relation to Mickey
god.
Rooney's character, who he's a delight in
Yeah.
this. I love his character. I love,
Hmm.
I love that he is kind of the walking thesis statement of the movie, and it's just like if you want to find magic in the world, you need to look for yourself. He's I love seeing older performers get the chance to have a performance that loves life in this way. I don't know, I
Hmm.
don't like to throw around the word wholesome too much because that the word gets kind of overused and kind of used to not mean much anymore at all, but I do think it's a very wholesome performance in the sense that it's very heartening. It's very warm, and like Robert Redford is one of those actors where when you see him smile, all the years just melt away from his face. He's still boyish in that way. Like you see him smile, it's just like, damn, it's just 1976 again. It's great.
Thought of you and the years and all the sadness fell away from me.
Yeah. It's
I guess maybe we should touch on the plot again because this is an entirely different
this
story.
is an entirely different story. Going back to it, um, he loses his parents and he's found by Elliot, and he takes care of him over the next few years. And Elliot is, I mean, Pete's just kind of left somewhat feral as a result. He's kind of living off the land and
Hmm.
everything. And
Yeah, he lives in the
he lives
forest.
in the forest with Elliot, who is taking care of him. And like, to be honest, given that he can't speak or communicate very easily, he's doing a pretty bang up job taking care of this human child.
Yeah.
um and there's Bryce Dallas Howard's character, who's a park ranger, a forest ranger, and I can't remember how she found Pete again. Oh yeah, her
They.
her daughter saw him. She ran into the woods. She
Hmm.
followed, and then they found him. Um, and Bryce Dallas Howard's character takes him in, and just sort of, this is some of my favorite stuff in the movie. Just her showing him sort of life again, like life outside of the forest, life in society and civilization again. And it's like, showing him records, and like her daughter shows him records, and you know kind of reteaching him certain things that his parents didn't get to before they died.
Hmm.
And like again, like, this is sort of the movie at its best, which is at its softest, when it's just about a child not even knowing that he needs to grieve, I guess. Having forgotten the part of him that grieves because he was too young to really learn it, and learning just about himself and about the world that he missed in the past few years. Which, it's kind of that thing where, like, when you're a little kid, that's like, that may as well be decades, So, I think there's just really beautiful stuff in relation to that. And there's her husband, played by Wes Bentley, and then his brother, played by Carl Urban. I'm not sure how I feel about Carl Urban's performance, but we'll get into that. And Carl Urban's character is kind of a dick, and he's the foreman of a what was it again? Like they were fucking cutting down trees. They were loggers, right?
Yeah, they were. I think they were gonna build something in the forest.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And it's not really that important. It's kind of funny, right? Because the movie cuts down the length of the movie, and like the movie cuts down the length relative to the original, and it does feel much more storybook like and broadly drawn in its plot beats, and that's okay. It's like, hey, I'm fine with broad plot beats as long as there are some. As long as anything's fucking happening. And Carl Urban's a dickhead, and he's hearing more and more about this dragon, and he's taking the role basically of Doc Terminus, at least in terms of pure narrative presence, and not actually like the same character, because he's not at all. And he's got this tumultuous relationship with his brother, and then there's Robert Redford, who plays Bryce Dallas Howard's character's father, and he's seen Elliot in the past, and more stuff is happening. It's interesting because they're never really that separate in the first movie, Pete and Elliot. Even though you barely see Elliot, they're never really that separate, because like, oh, he's invisible, he's always there, And meanwhile, they spend a lot of the movie pretty separate in this movie. And I'm fine with that ultimately. Like, I think it works for the ends that they're trying to get to. I'm fully cool with it. And like, more and more happens relating to this dragon. Carl Urban's character is trying to get to Elliot, and he's trying to capture him, and ultimately he does. He captures him, and a lot of time is spent trying to get him out of the clutches of this fucking guy. And ultimately this coalesces in Elliot getting very angry and actually getting to be flawed in some way, where he starts causing destruction out of this, sense of like, oh my God, you're hurting my son, basically. And, he almost fucking kills, he almost kills people, and it's only because he cares about Pete so much that he stops, because Pete tells him that he needs these people who've been taking care of him. After he puts them in danger, he rescues Bryce Dallas Howard's character and her husband. He saves them, then he flies off with Pete, and then they just have a scene together where it's just kind of evident, without a lot of words, that it's time for Pete to move on, if that's what he needs most. And he realizes that it is what he needs most. He takes him back to their house and flies away. And, Robert Redford's character speaks on sort of, knowing like that they never saw the dragon again, but then you learn that Pete goes to find Elliot and sees not just one dragon, but many. That there are many dragons, that he was not alone in the world. And, consider how much of the movie I was able to recall off the top of my head compared to the original, which was nothing, because there's nothing there. And this movie, as you said, a lot more happens in it, and it coheres a lot more structurally. Like I said, I really like Robert Redford's character. Like it's interesting because he doesn't do that much for the narrative, like for the beat by beat plot stuff. But in terms of communicating what the movie is about and what it needs most, and what, like, how characters relate to each other, he is important, and that's a testament to how, like, story and plot aren't the same thing. Pete's Dragon, the 1977 movie, doesn't seem to have plot or story. Nothing's there. And I'm not about to call it a masterpiece, but there is a lot of beautiful little stuff here that ultimately builds a really surprisingly delicate and tender portrait of just, it's a coming of age. It's just a coming of age about a somewhat feral child and his dragon. It's a boy and his dragon. And, like, it's kind of a really solid fulfillment of that promise, and I appreciate it a lot on that measure. That is what the movie is about. Was there anything...
If only Bryce Dallas Howard really was a Nepo baby from Robert Redford. It would be such a beautiful world.
You would have less it would be less fraught, your fondness for Bryce Dallas Howard, if she were just Robert Redford's daughter.
Yes. But yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as you. You have a very vague soft spot for this movie.
I do have a soft spot for it. Like, I don't love it to death, but I think, because it has, like, themes and things in it, and it has a love of sort of storytelling, which is, like, the key thing with David Lowery and, like, in his other movies. It's just processes of storytelling, how those stories coalesce, mutate, change depending on, like, who's telling the story. Stories we tell ourselves about the world around us. I think Elliot is interesting because he is kind of a character now, but he's also kind of a Green Man figure, which is really interesting. Like, he made him look like grass, which is wild. Like, he looked at a green dragon and said, what if he looked like moss? What if he looked mossy? What if he looked like an element of the earth itself? So, and that also partly justifies, like, the invisibility element, because he's like, that, I don't know, it doesn't feel as out of the ass the way the original movie does in that regard. It has ideas, and I think that's all you can really ask for, really, is just, you had ideas. Please come to the table with ideas. Please bring something to the potluck of narrative, because otherwise I'm just bored as hell.
Like, it's not even that, like, it has, these great original ideas. This is a insanely formulaic,
it's very well trodden
movie, right?
It's very well trodden territory.
It's taking, I feel, pretty blatantly from both E.T. and How to Train Your Dragon.
Very firmly.
And I'm not just saying How to Train Your Dragon because it's about a dragon, but it's also
no.
taking very much from How to Train Your Dragon. But it's well executed. It's well structured and plotted. It's a nice package.
It's a nice package is the best way.
I can make a comparison. There was a movie I watched for an Oscars run a couple years ago. I believe it was called The Sea Beast.
Yes.
It's a Netflix animated movie.
Yes.
And I felt that movie also took very blatantly from How to Train Your Dragon. However, in that case, I did look at it and say, this is a ripoff. This is bad because it's just the other movie, but with sea monsters instead of dragons. It was so similar that it would legitimately turn me off. This is very similar, but it has a different heart. It's using this thing to channel its own heart. It's not it's a means to an end.
It feels like one of my favorite types of, like, family movies is when a filmmaker or filmmakers saw a certain type of family movie growing up and they want to give that back to younger people. And that feels very much like this. It feels like someone who saw a movie that made them feel a certain way, that made Lowry feel a certain way when he saw it, and
Mm.
decided to channel that feeling into something that was his and put it back out into kind of the ecosystem, which is something that I always really appreciate because it feels very. A family movie is something that can be surprisingly personal when you're making it with a lot of love in you. And I think that's kind of like, I know you don't like the term soul in relation to art, but I think it kind of does find like it's a movie where he kind of tried to work out what its own soul sort of looked like in relation to all these other movies that are doing very similar structures and concepts. It's Iron Giant, it's How to Train Your Dragon. It's that sort of design for a movie, and it's just like, you know what? I have a soft spot for that kind of movie anyways, so I probably would have liked it anyways, but I think
I
yeah.
don't hate Soul in a vacuum. I feel like it's people calling, oh, this movie is soulless or this thing is soulless or
Yeah.
it's that soul has become so people don't know, people don't use it right. They just use it to mean thing I don't
They
like.
yeah.
Thing that doesn't connect with me personally.
Yeah. It's
You know?
it's like, no, whatever it is, it's just not resonating with you, you know? And yeah, I don't know, I have a fondness for it because of that. Like, there's a warmth in it, which is something we are going to lose in these remakes quite swiftly. This is the end, guys. For by and large, this is the end. I know we have some okay ones coming up. I know we have Cruella coming up. I haven't seen Christopher Robin before, and I know that's coming up. But from here on out, we're hitting the majority of what this catalog looks like, which is bad. It's kind of incredible that there's one of these that is really solid and such a broad upgrade from the original. I do have my quibbles with it. I do feel like I don't like getting too much into like the texture of an image because it's not something I quite understand on like a science level, like the science of building an image and its texture. But I do feel like the movie's a little too sleek visually sometimes, like it's a little too clean. And sometimes I
Mm.
feel like its image building is it doesn't quite cohere. But when it does, it really does. And again, like you said, like Lowry was like 2 movies in making this, and
Yeah.
that kind of, I don't know, that happens when you're 2 movies in and you're like, I'm gonna pitch to Disney. My guess is my guess is that he was starting to get some attention, and
Hmm.
Disney called him in and was like, "Do you have anything?" As opposed to, "We want you to direct, fucking Shitman 27." I don't know, because things got worse. Things got worse in the interim. They've asked him to direct a fucking Marvel movie after his time with Disney. To date, he's only done two.
Probably.
He's only done 2 of these. I don't hate his Peter Pan, but that's later. Um, but yeah, I quite like it. I think it's really cute and warm, and I think it does the things that a good family movie should probably do. And considering what that landscape tends to look like, yeah, that landscape doesn't tend to look very good or positive for young people because people are like, just give them whatever, they don't fucking care. That's not a new thing. That's just it's the way it's been. Is there anything else you wanted to add to this?
Not much. I don't have a lot to say about this one, and I feel bad because I liked it, you know? It's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's not very interesting.
No, yeah,
You know, it's just kind of like, yeah, that was good.
yeah, no. Like it's not a deep movie, and it doesn't have to be. I think that's part of the problem,
No.
right? Like, talking about the reasons why something is bad can get really deep tissue. And talking about the
Yeah.
reasons why something is good can sometimes just kind of amount to, it's good, and I don't know what more to say than that. I have some issues with it, but it's good enough for those issues to not overrule the holistic experience for me, which is that I think the movie's really sweet. I think when we did Jungle Book, we had a lot to compare it to because there was a lot it was doing. It was doing a lot of the broad beats and then folding some stuff, minor stuff in from the book.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't happen here because they pull so little. There's like two
Yeah.
major plot elements that they pull because, again, there's nothing to pull.
This isn't even on the same coast of America.
It
It's
literally is.
it's it's on the other side of the country.
It's very funny how much he just went in the direction that he wanted to. And I think that's a good thing. I think this is something we should like. And by the way, this one is one of the ones that didn't do particularly well. Relatively,
No,
because
it didn't.
no one's heard of fucking Pete's Dragon.
I remember
Oh,
being a
wait.
kid. I was
Mm-hmm.
on vacation in Ireland,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to the movie theater,
Mm-hmm.
and I might have been seeing a Despicable Me movie, or something else. I saw like a big standee for Pete's Dragon, and I was like, "What's that?" And my mom and my sister were like, "I don't know."
Never mind what I said, because I always assumed that this movie didn't do great. This movie was made on 65 million and made 143 million, which is a lot more than I expected.
So it's whether or not it was profitable is question mark.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there was a ton of marketing, so I don't think there was a huge marketing push.
No, and it's pre-Disney Plus, so it just kind of happened. This would have gone straight to Disney Plus in the past, I want to be real, as evidenced by the fact that Peter Pan went straight to Disney Plus.
We're living in a world, man.
We're living in a
oh my god.
world. It's good, and also I just relative to, I don't want to be like, oh, the performance of the other kid was bad because he was bad. It's like, no, it was just bad writing. But I do want to give some props to Oaks Fagley, who played Pete in this movie, because he's quite good. I really like his performance in this. And considering he spends a lot of the movie not really saying a lot relatively. He probably has a lot less lines overall than, his counterpart in the 1977 movie. And he's really solid. Especially because, he's acting with a fucking CGI dragon a lot of the time. He's just really solid. And that's kind of the last big thing that I forgot to mention. Just pretty solid performances. I do want to also say, I forgot this, I'm still not sure how I feel about Carl Urban's performance, because I don't really love his American accent.
I don't really care.
He just kind of chews on his words in a way that throw me off in this. But yeah, I think that might be it. We didn't have a lot to say about either movie for different reasons. One is because one of them, nothing happens in it and it's bad, and the other is good but not great, and not broken in any particular ways I can find, but also not great in a lot of ways we can really pour over. And that's okay. I'm fine with getting that one neat, sweet, and genuinely wholesome movie, and just kind of being okay with that. You don't have to talk everything to death is one of the lessons here. And I think it was neat to watch the bad movie first and then the good movie. I think that's one of the big takeaways, podcast related.
Yeah.
It's neat to go inverse, because that's not gonna happen again. Like, it's not gonna happen this severely, certainly, We're not gonna get another example where the original movie is that bad and the newer movie is really solid by comparison. I think that was all I had to say about that one.
Yeah, I think that about covers it.
Yes.
Say, Roxana, how would you rank the two Pete's Dragon movies?
I fucking wonder.
You might need to deliberate on this for a couple hours.
But yeah, obviously this one's high, relatively.
Yes. In the overall ranking,
mm-hmm.
I would put it. I think I'd put it at number 2.
Me too.
I think I like it more than Maleficent.
Yes.
Less than Cinderella.
Yeah, I think I feel that way too, just because, like, Cinderella has at least, like, its relationship to the original text and the movie it's remaking. So, you know, I like that little dance it has with it, and also it's still the most beautiful looking one out of all of these. You know, not to say that Pete's Dragon looks bad, because it doesn't. But it's still the one with the most texture and definition, and it's a treat for the eyes, and while also still kind of having a genuine relationship to the original text that's being adapted. So, you know, that's still high up there. But Pete's Dragon also, it probably is the one that is closest to embodying some of the worldview that I want to espouse. Not necessarily the one I end up espousing, because I just kind of fail to do that sometimes. But it's the one that best represents what I want to believe and how I want to see the world. So like out of all of these, probably, and I do mean all of them, unless Christopher Robin really comes in clutch. So yeah, it's Cinderella, Pete's Dragon, Maleficent, Jungle Book. See, that's the thing. I never know where to put the first Alice in Wonderland, because I still have a soft spot for it, despite everything, despite the fuckfest. I still have a soft spot for it. But yeah, okay. I think it goes Cinderella, Pete's Dragon, Maleficent, Alice in Wonderland, Jungle Book, Alice Through the Looking Glass. I think that's my ranking.
Yeah. I'm Cinderella, Pete's Dragon, Maleficent, Jungle Book, Alice 1, Alice 2.
Yeah. But yeah.
And that about wraps things up.
Our next episode, the darkness truly falls over the moors, over the lands.
Yes. Next episode, we will be covering 4 Beauty and the Beast movies.
We're gonna die.
Only one of which is good.
We're gonna die.
The other 3 are legendarily terrible. So,
my only question is, when do I bring up Jean Cocteau's version? When we're watching, when we're talking about the first one, or when we're talking about the remake? That's my only question.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yes. Thank you for listening. I've been Roxana.
I've been Nikki.
This has been Live Action Remorse.
Thank you.